to connect, and perfect. So we are live, and hopefully everything will be okay, because yesterday or on Friday the connection was a little bit bad. So I'm just going to change. I'm going to wait until I see the image here on YouTube, and then we can completely begin the class. So the idea today is to focus on vocabulary from a movie review. At the same time, we're connected to Instagram Live, so people can watch on Instagram Live, no problem. So hopefully now I can fix. So I'm going to close this window on YouTube, and people can hopefully see everything correctly, because on Friday it was really bad quality and it wasn't good. So hopefully today will be better, and I'll just continue here, and hopefully now everything is good. So on YouTube, welcome, thank you for connecting on YouTube. We're also live on Instagram Live on my left, and this is for people who want just to watch and to listen to some vocabulary and to some accents as well. I was going to start with this object. Good morning. It's a cool new toy that I have, so I'm going to use this actually bubble, but yeah, so I'll just smile, and that might be the cover for the class today. So you can see the movie is called Dune. I have never seen this movie. I've never heard about this movie, in fact, and it has 5 stars from the review. So again, I'm just going to focus on specific vocabulary, intermediate to advanced, and hopefully I will be able to just explain and introduce some phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions, and everything like that. So just let me check that we're working here okay again. Only hope that everything is okay. I don't have a lot of confidence with the YouTube connection from Zoom because of the last 2 classes, so I can just continue and everything will be okay. Okay, so in the far future, intergalactic air, I'm just going to identify the key vocabulary again, instead of reading everything. So in the first paragraph, you can see nothing too difficult at the moment. Dynastic is maybe very advanced, because a dynasty is a family has a lot of power. So if it's a dynasty, it's a family with maybe the leader, and then when the leader is finished or retires, the son becomes the powerful person. So that's dynasty. So the adjective is dynastic. It's not so typical in the adjective, but it is very advanced and very good vocabulary as well. The next word is the desert. So you need to be very clear the difference between desert and desert. So I'll just write here in the text because it is really, really important. Desert is like Sahara with all the sand. In Africa, you have the desert, but after your dinner, dessert. And a dessert is the sweet chocolate, ice cream, food that you have after your dinner. So there's a big difference, desert and dessert. This is a verb also, to desert, and it's very similar to abandon. So if you desert your friends, your friend, it means to abandon. Okay, so you can see the difference with the S and the S. That's the biggest difference between the two. The next word is very important, very general in English, and really good quality. The verb is to oversee, very similar to supervise. So if you oversee a project, this means that you supervise a project, that you are in control, you're analyzing, you're checking everything. This is the significance to oversee. Very, very good vocabulary. And I think last week we saw the same. In the shadows, especially if you are in the shadows, you are not the center of attention. You're in the background, you're behind, you are in the shadows. In a company, it's possible. You are in the shadows. It means you're not the principal character, you're not the protagonist. You're in the shadows, okay? So that is just three or four important words from the first paragraph, but we'll continue to the next paragraph. And I'll make the screen a little bit bigger as well, because I think sometimes it's a bit small. So I'm just looking at the YouTube functioning. Okay, so fingers that it will be okay. Okay, so again, just this paragraph, I will focus on the vocabulary, and let's get my line. I'm just selecting my line. First word, spoken in a booming, okay, bone over. People with TikTok, people with Instagram are familiar with a voice over, or from movies. So you see the image and you record the voice at the same time because it's the voice over. That's the specific vocabulary. Very, very specific. Booming into a voice, very loud and a very strong voice. If you have a booming voice, it's a very strong and very loud voice. It's a better synonym. It's more advanced compared to loud. So you can describe a person, he has a loud voice, she has a loud voice, but a is a little more advanced. And it's important to remember bone rattling is very advanced also and very good quality. Remember, in movie reviews, you need to have very colorful vocabulary, and this is a perfect example of colorful vocabulary. The Cambridge exams, IELTS exams, you might have to write about a movie, and the vocabulary is necessary to be very, very colorful. Bone rattling is very good. So let me explain, because the verb is to rattle, and it's very similar to shake. We used to rattle, well, first with a baby, we say a baby rattler is the object that the baby has to shake. That's the rattler. And we say to rattle your cage. Imagine the animal in the cage and you rattle the cage. This significance is to rattle your cage, but it's a metaphor to maybe shock a person or to scare a person or to frighten a person. If you rattle somebody's cage, you frighten that person. That's a very famous expression. And it means your bones are shaking because of the voice. So it's so powerful. The voice is so loud, it's so strong that your body, that your bones are shaking. Okay. And that's very, very famous expression and very good quality, very advanced vocabulary. Prophetic is, I think, very advanced as well. It's when you predict something that will happen. So you dream. A prophetic dream is like a prophecy, something that you predict will happen in the future. A blue-eyed girl is very, very good vocabulary. So yes, it could be the color of the eye of the girl. She's a blue-eyed girl, but there is a second significance that the girl is almost perfect. She's the dream girl, and that's a blue-eyed girl. It's possible to say a blue-eyed boy as well. So a blue-eyed boy and a blue-eyed girl basically means it's the ideal, stereotypical, perfect dream person. So that's a blue-eyed girl. We also say the apple of your eye is very famous as well, and this means that you're the favorite of the person. So, for example, you are the apple of your grandmother's eye. This means you are the favorite person or the favorite child from your grandfather. The apple of your eye is very famous as well. So that's a similar description of a blue-eyed girl or a blue-eyed boy. So remember, it's not just the color of your eye. It does not necessarily connect. It just means you're the perfect or the favorite person. Okay. Nothing too difficult if we continue. His dream project, science fiction devotee. That's very interesting as well, because the verb is to devote. And if you devote your life to something, it means you give and you dedicate your life to something. But a devotee is the person, similar to employee. So here we have an example of the suffix. A devotee is a person that devotes a lot of energy or time to something. So not very typical, but it's an example of the suffix of ee. similar to employee. If you are the employee, you are the worker. Okay, so these are OTs or science fiction, very colorful vocabulary again. And this is another good example for vocabulary movie review. Okay, so I'll continue to the next words. And again, the verb to worship is very important. Tome, I'm not so sure. I'm just going to finish with the next. I'm going to underline all the words first. And that's it, really. Nothing difficult. I'm just going to identify the preposition here. So the verb to worship is very important. And this means in relation to religion. If you worship your God, it means you dedicate or devote your life to your God. You worship. Okay. The vocabulary worship can be used for other people. Worship the dog, you worship your friend, you worship your family. It means you dedicate your life and you think they are the best. So that's a very important verb, to worship. It's used creatively. So here they have long worshipped, they have loved, they have adored. Frank Herbert's dense tome. Tome is a word personally I'm not too familiar with. I'm going to check the significance here, because it's here they say it's a book, like a scholarly or an academic book, the tome. So it's a very proficient word and very, very specific. So they have adored this book, they have worshipped this book, and they waited decades for it to be brought to the screen. Previous filmmaker. So basically a filmmaker is the person who produces the movie, the person who makes the movie. This is a filmmaker. Okay, and really specific for cinema, for movies. You are a filmmaker, you're the person who produces, who makes the movie. The last two expressions, make no mistake, is just a very famous combination. So it's another way to say to be clear. So for example, make no mistake, tomorrow I will go to the shop. That means let's be clear, tomorrow you will do this action. Very typical and good quality conversational expression, make no mistake. And then the verb dream is typical with your preposition dream of. You dream of a holiday, you dream of a friend, you dream of a book, you dream of. Very typical preposition with dream. So I'll just clear this vocabulary. And again, the most important thing to remember until now is for a movie review, you need to use very, very colorful vocabulary. Worshipped, and blue-eyed boy, bone rattling. They're perfect examples of very, very proficient, very advanced, very colorful vocabulary that really is perfect for a movie review, and it's very good quality English. So I'll just continue. Here you can see the picture of the movie. Again, I haven't seen the movie. The only thing, it looks like Kim Kardashian's black outfit from the gala, the Met Gala, but I don't know this movie, so I'll just continue a little with the next paragraph. Okay, so again, I'll try just first to identify the key vocabulary in my opinion. Here's a very, very difficult word, not so typical, impenetrability. I don't know if it exists. Well, it obviously exists, but it's not so common. Very creative in this article. Okay, here's another one, sprawling. Yes, is very, very important. Disown is very good. Stumbled is fantastic. Disseminated is very important as well. And verb to split, approach, and a mission. And also the final expression here is a bold gambit. This is very interesting as well. Okay, so we've maybe 3 or 4 very interesting words here. First word that I'm going to identify is impenetrability. The verb is to penetrate. So penetrate, you go through. That's the significance, to penetrate. And then the prefix im is the negative, like possible, impossible. Penetrate, impenetrate. So it's basically not possible to penetrate. That is impenetrate. And here it's the ability. It's a suffix, ability. And I think this is very creative. So the ability penetrate is not possible. That's a difficult word. I don't recommend to learn it because it's not very common. It's more creative from this writer. Sprawling is more interesting, and it's very typical for residents and for homes and for the city. So imagine you have the city center and the city is sprawling. This means you have lots of different accommodations, lots of different houses around the city, not necessarily organized. It's more chaos. That's sprawling, okay? Very, very advanced, very fluent, very good quality. And in this situation, the story is very expansive. The mythology is not very focused. The mythology is very sprawling. It's almost like chaotic and without end. We also use it in the situation in your house. If you go to the living room and on the sofa, you sprawl on the sofa, you're like a mess on the sofa. That's very, very famous. So to sprawl yourself on the sofa, we use the phrase verb to sprawl out. Okay, so to sprawl out on the sofa, the significance is to be very comfortable, to be very relaxed, maybe messy, maybe untidy. And it's very typical in that situation when you're relaxing or lazy, and the other situation for residential, when the houses are maybe organized chaotically. It just continues to grow. The city grows and grows. Okay, so really good vocabulary. Disown is also very, very good. So the verb is to own, when you possess and you own something, but this prefix is negative here, disown. So if you own the dog, it's your possession, but if you disown the dog, you ignore the dog and you refuse to accept the dog. So to disown your responsibilities, it's maybe most typical in the family situation. If a person has an argument with another family, you can disown that relationship or disown that person, and you have no connection or stumble is very important in English, connected to walking. When you walk and you almost fall, in English we say to stumble. So to stumble is like a small fall, like when you fall, and it's basically very good quality to stumble. Maybe when the person had a lot of alcohol and they're drinking and they almost fall, they stumble. Second example, if you're giving a speech, if you're talking and you stumble, you almost have a moment that you stop, you fall in your conversation, okay? The third is to stumble upon. And this means to find. So if you're walking and accidentally you find something, this is a perfect situation that you stumble upon a solution, stumble upon the answer. It means that you find by accident. Okay, very, very good word, very important. This situation is very advanced, and the significance is to fail or to fall. So they failed in their attempts. They have difficulty. They have big problems in their attempts. Remember, attempt is very important. The significance is a try. So if you make an attempt, you make a try, make an effort. Disseminate, again, is to spread. So the more intermediate and basic vocabulary is to spread. The more advanced is to disseminate. So if you disseminate your ideas, you disseminate your book, maybe it's to spread and to share to a lot of people. So it's really good vocabulary here. And the ideas instead disseminated into everything. So they spread. Difundir, I think in Espanol, but I know not everybody is speaking Spanish, but disseminate is to spread. Okay, approach is very important, very general, very intermediate, very, very important part of English. For example, to approach a problem is one example. The best example is the aeroplane is approaching the airport. So when the airplane is approaching It means coming towards arriving to the airport. So that's the first significance to approach. For example, the train is approaching the station. You are approaching the building. Okay, that's the first significance. The second significance is your mentality, your attitude. What is your approach to the problem? What is your mentality? What is your attitude to the problem? That's very, very important. What is your approach? Also with a person, number three, you're with a person. How do you approach this person? What is the best way to approach this person? Do you be polite? Do you be rude? Do you be aggressive? What's the best way to approach this person? Okay. Again, to split is more intermediate, but very, very important, because we use split in many situations. For a relationship, you split up or break up. So that's typical in a relationship, split up or break up. In a restaurant, it's very typical as well to split the bill. So the bill is maybe €50 and there's 5 people. So everybody splits the bill and it's €10, €10, €10. That's very famous as well, to split. In aerobics or athletics, you can do the splits. In school, in the gymnasium, to do the splits is with your legs. When you, it's very adaptable. You need to be very flexible to do the splits when the legs, I can't even do it with my fingers, but when the legs basically go flat, because you're very flexible, that's to do the splits. Very good word, and it's quite common, very intermediate, but it is very, very important as well. And I think they're the most typical expressions with split. The next vocabulary is admission. And there are 2 contexts with admission. The first context is the cinema or the football match or the concert. You need to pay the admission. So to pay the admission is to enter, to pay the money to enter for your ticket. You need to pay the admission. That's the first context. The second context is a little different. It's what you confess. So when you tell the truth, it's my admission. I confess. Okay. Here it's own title card's admission. So the title card explains the truth. It's the admission. I think the verb is to admit. When somebody accuses you, somebody wants to know the truth, and you admit, you say, yes, it was me. Yes, it was you. That's the verb to admit. But again, the second significance is typical in the cinema, typical in the concert, typical in the football match. To admit is to enter. Okay. And the final expression here is a gambit or a bold gambit. This is very proficient and very interesting. So remember, bold has 2 or 3 significances. Bold is when the text is very black or the text is very strong. You have bold text, number 1. If your behavior or your action is very strong or very brave, valiant, it's bold action, bold decision. Okay. And the number 3 for behavior with the children, if the child is very bold, the significance, it's very strong in a negative way, very bad behavior, very child. That's the 3 significances for bold. The next word, a gambit, I think is similar to a gamble. So if you have a gambit, it's like a bet or a gamble. Okay, so bold gambit is a very strong, a very hard, very difficult bet. Okay, so it's risky. I think that's the significance. A bold gambit is very, very risky, very fluent, very proficient, and very good quality English. A bold gambit is like very risky. And it comes from a bet. Okay, so I'm just going to clear this vocabulary and maybe we will do 1 or 2 more. And again, hopefully people on Instagram can follow the class and you can understand the explanations. Again, we're live on YouTube, so you can see the screen on YouTube and you can see the text. And also after I will post the video on Facebook, you can see all the material. You can watch, no problem, but it's a good idea to go on Instagram live as well. And on YouTube, thank you for watching as well. And you can see the material here, and hopefully the connection is okay. So every day we will try to do some work and some vocabulary. Okay, so we'll just continue with the next section, and I'm going to change the color of the line to green. Here, to shoot is very intermediate, but very important as well. Predicated is very interesting, probably advanced. Installment, first installment. Going by is very interesting expression. 2.5 hour runtime, not too difficult. I think logical, a little creative, but logical. And I'll just show the rest of the vocabulary. Establishing, no, that's okay. Stark, that's probably the most advanced vocabulary so far. Simmering is very important as well. And here's a very, very good expression. Threaten to boil over. That's really advanced, very good quality. And I will explain in one moment. And that's it. Humbled. Okay, so we've one or two important expressions in this paragraph. The first one is to shoot. So this is related to a movie. You shoot a movie, you shoot a film. That's number one. But the most basic significance is the pistol. If you shoot the pistol, it's the action when the pistol is, we can fire the pistol or to shoot the pistol. Also sport, you can shoot the ball. Okay, so it is really, really common, but the most interesting use is with the movie. You have the photo shoot. It's the time when you record the pictures, and the movie, to shoot the movie, is the time that you record the movie. Okay, it's irregular because the verb is to shoot, and the past is shot, and the substantive is a shot as well. Same with maybe in beer or the medicine. If you have a shot of medicine, it's a small amount, a small quantity. Okay, predicated is very advanced, a bit difficult for pronunciation because it's predicated, and this means similar to predict. So it's related to the future. So here the existence is dependent on the financial success. So that's a very advanced way, depending on, excuse me, predicated is a more advanced and proficient way to say depending on. Okay, installment is very interesting as well, because install is typical for the computer. You install software, you install the application. Also in the house, you can install a new system, you can install new water boiler. And here it's also with money. If you have an installment, this means that you pay the money in a small portion. So you pay in installments. This means that you pay maybe €20 this month, €20 next month, €20 the next month. That's an installment. And here, I think, yeah, okay, so there's one L as well. And the verb has two L's, but the substantive one L, and that might be three. Especially, I'm thinking Cambridge exams when you need to change the word. So there's one L in this noun, and there's two L's in the verb. Excuse me. I like the next expression. The next expression is very, very good. And the expression is going by. And there's two significances going by. The first significance is literal. So if you're going by the restaurant, it's like going past, going beside. That's the first significance. The second significance is completely different, and it means judging by. So for example, going by the weather, today will be very cold, or the match will be very cold. So it's like judging, judge, the verb to judge. And that's very interesting as well. So going by his comments, so that means act according to his comments or judging his comments. So behaving or moving or acting according to his comments This means going by his comments, he is not happy. It's very fluent, very advanced. You can see in this text. So according to everything achieved here, that's a very, very good expression and very fluent. I recommend that you try to understand that little expression, and it's quite advanced. The runtime is related to the time that the movie runs. Remember, you can run a business, run a company, run the water. So for the movie, you said the run time for the movie or the series is the duration, and that's another different way to say duration of the movie, duration of the series. The next word is stark. I can say a stark difference, and this means a very strong, a very obvious difference. So the difference is stark. This means the difference is very, very strong and very dramatic. That's very good vocabulary, very advanced, and I recommend you try to understand and try to recognize this word. So the difference is stark. It's very good. Okay. The next two are also very advanced and very good quality. The first one is simmer and simmering. Okay, so it's related to cooking. And when you cook, boil water, if you boil the water and the water starts to simmer, it's just before 100 degrees. So when it's 100 degrees, so maybe before it's just simmering. Okay, this is perfect adjective, perfect vocabulary for this situation. So remember, 100 degrees with the water temperature, it's boiling, but a little less and it's almost boiling. So in this situation, it's connect tensions in the relationship. If the tension is simmering, it's there's a lot of problems. There's people angry, but it's not boiling, it's just simmering. So it's controlled, but maybe one or two more bad actions and there will be chaos. Okay, it's really good vocabulary, especially in relation to tensions here. And again, this is connected because threaten is when it's very hard to explain in English without explaining in another language. Amenazar, creo que amenazar in Espanol. But to threaten is when you say something to another person that conditional, if they do not do the action, there will be consequences. So it's threaten, okay? The substantive is a threat and the verb is to threaten. And the phrasal verb to boil over is the same example with the water. So it's simmering when you're cooking or you're boiling the water and it's simmering. And if you increase the temperature to 100 degrees, if you continue to increase the tension, the temperature, the problems, the water will boil over. Okay, so really good phrasal verb, really good vocabulary. And that is a perfect example of very fluent and very good quality English. Okay. Humbled is the opposite of arrogant. So if the person is maybe considered very arrogant, the opposite is humble. Okay, and there's a verb as well, to humble. So remember, it's the opposite of maybe to be arrogant. If you are humble, you are the opposite of arrogant. You can say maybe down to earth as well. That's a possible explanation. Okay, that's very good quality. And I think that's more or less everything. And we can just finish because it's just an idea to have maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes every day to look at some vocabulary on YouTube live and also recorded on Facebook. I'll put the video on Facebook and the link, and also on Instagram live. Today is the first time to do it on Instagram live. So hopefully this helped a little. And that's it. So remember, we have classes. There are classes available. I have 3 or 4 very, very good teachers at the moment, and they are available, and they are looking to start working. And it's possible you can join groups. You can join a group of 3, of 4, group of 5, group of 6, and the prices depend on the number. You can see the information basically on the Facebook page, but if you want to join one of our classes, contact, and you are welcome, because they're very, very good classes, very good teachers, and very good quality as well. That's number 1. Number 2, the social media. You can follow on YouTube the channels. I try to give content on YouTube. I try to give content on Facebook. I try to give content on Instagram. I try to give content on TikTok. So we have maybe 4 or 5. Here you can see at the bottom the social media. So there's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then WhatsApp as well. If you have any questions, if you want to join a class, you can connect on WhatsApp as well. But hopefully you can follow everything, and we will continue in the journey, and hopefully the classes and the content will help a little. And that's it. If you want to make a little support, if you want to make a small contribution to the class today, you are very welcome. I'll put here the information. If you want to make a little donation, that's possible as well. You can see here, Bizum is one possibility. Revolut is another possibility. Bank transfer is another possibility. And that's just if you want to support and if you want to leave a little donation. As I said, the classes, organizing classes as well. So if you want to join a class, please contact and we'll organize to a class, because we have the WhatsApp groups with different levels. We have a WhatsApp group for beginners, WhatsApp group for intermediate, WhatsApp group for advanced. And this way you can form a class. Okay, great. So I think that's everything. And hopefully the connection was okay on YouTube. I think Instagram is no problem, but YouTube, I think, has been a little slower the last 2 days. So hopefully everything was okay. So that's it. I'm going to close the class, and thank you so much for watching, and have a very good Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend and have a very good Monday. And I'll try to change the text. You can see here, it's still the morning, so have a good morning. And I'll try to update this board as well. It was actually a gift.